So you're into metaphysics, but your partner isn't? In this video, I give you 4 tips on how to deal with your significant other while you're on your spiritual path. All right, the first tip, well, when dealing with a mate while you're on your spiritual path and they're not into metaphysics, obviously, is you want to become bilingual. You want to become bilingual. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times where you're into metaphysics, you like to use catchphrases and keywords that most people associate with metaphysics. For instance, you might say chakras, kundalini, meditation, altar work, magic, etc., etc. Just words that aren't normally used in everyday language. What I'm recommending is that you become bilingual, which means that you know the English equivalent of the word. So let me explain. Chakras is just energy. So instead of saying chakras, you can talk to your mate, say, I'm working on my energy. Instead of saying meditation, you can say, I'm just sitting in silence. Instead of saying giving an offering to my altar, you can say something like honoring the ancestors. Instead of saying magic, you can say manifesting or visualizing. Whatever you have to use so it's not a scary language is what I recommend for this first tip. So becoming bilingual simply means not using metaphysical words or occult words and using regular words to denote what you're talking about as it relates to metaphysics. So the first tip is become bilingual. Second tip when dealing with your significant other on your spiritual path is just share things that are significant with them. Share some of your major discoveries. A lot of times when you're getting into this path, you want to share every single bit of piece of information that you come across. For people that aren't interested, they don't want to know all the integral details. So what I recommend in this tip is just share the highlights. If you're really hard body studying for 4 hours a day, you're watching videos, you're reading books, you're doing webinars and stuff like that, your mate doesn't want to hear every single bit of thing that you learn. But if you tell them probably the most significant, that's probably going to pique their interest. So in this tip, I recommend do not share everything that you come across, just share the major significant things. And if you want to put a number to it, just share 1 or 2 things that you took away from a seminar, from a book or whatever. But usually if you share something that's major with them, it's going to pique their interest and they may even become open by you sharing like that. So my second tip is just share significant things with your significant other. Third tip for dealing with a mate on your spiritual path while you're on your spiritual path is just continue to do you. And this is especially important if you have a mate that's very liberal, very much is not nitpicky, not over your shoulder or whatever. If they leave you alone, just do you. And I know you're probably frustrated because you want them to meditate with you or give an offering, but you have to respect their wishes. If you love the person, if you have a good relationship, quote unquote, outside of spirituality, then you are meshing well on all the other common grounds. Just because you're hard on your path doesn't mean that they have to be hard on their path. So my advice is if they're not preventing you from doing what you're doing, then just continue to do you. And just like I stated in the last video talking about how to deal with your family while on your spiritual path, once someone sees your light growing, once they see you illuminating, once they see you becoming a better human being, evolving, they're going to take note. They're going to start asking you questions, especially your mate. If they've been with you for 2 or 3 years and then now you're growing expeditiously, you know, they're going to start questioning, like, what are you doing? Hey, babe, like, introduce that to me. They'll start asking you questions as opposed to you just telling them, this is what I'm doing and you should be doing it too. So my third tip is continue to do you and let your actions speak louder than your words. All right, the fourth and final tip, and this, I have to put a disclaimer on this. I'm not into breaking up happy homes, but if you're truly unhappy, and this goes beyond spirituality, beyond your metaphysical practices. But if you're truly unhappy with communication, sex, rearing children, just a lot of different areas of life. If you're not happy and your mate's not happy, and then on top of that, you're into this spirituality, you're into this metaphysics, and they're not happy with that, Unfortunately, it may be a time for you to separate from that individual. Now, once again, I don't want you taking this out of context, meaning that if everything else is great in your relationship, but only spirituality is the only problem, I don't recommend that you separate. But if a lot of different areas of life are in disarray and you're not meshing well, and on top of that, you're not growing together spiritually, it may become a point in the relationship where it's time to terminate it. Now, you need to evaluate this obviously on your own. I wouldn't take this advice from a video and just start breaking up my home, but you know in your heart if you're truly happy. And so if there's some disconnect there, then you may want to evaluate just the condition of the relationship. I'll put it like that. So my fourth tip is it may be a time to terminate the relationship or at least reevaluate it going further. So this has been Ali. If you want to find out more information about myself and what we do, be sure to visit my main website, ssalimyers.com. If you're in need of metaphysical tools, supplies, altar supplies, magic, rituals, natural healing products, and all that good stuff, make sure to check out our online store, l9shop.com. That's el9shop.com. If you're wanting to grow spiritually under my guidance with the accompaniment of other members, highly suggest that you check out my flagship program, Spiritual Mastery Accelerator. You can find out all the information at spiritualaccelerator.com. So until next time, this has been Ali. Peace.